President Biden gave a farewell address, as presidents do. And in that address, Kim, while doing the normal things that one would do at the end of their career, and his was a long one. He was elected to the U.S. Senate in 1972 and had really been involved in politics every day since he began running for president. And he's been a fixture. Not just because he was a president, but he's a president that didn't come out of the blue. He'd been part of the political conversation for a long time, and he ended his political conversation last night. But the president had not just a look back. He had some, pointed, if not specific, things to look out for going forward. So from the Oval Office last evening, here is President Joseph Robinette Biden Jr.
This will be my final address to you from the American people, from the Oval Office, from this desk as president. And I've been thinking a lot about who we are, and maybe more importantly, who we should be. That's why my farewell address tonight. I want to warn the country of some things that give me great concern. This is a dangerous and that's a dangerous concentration of power in the hands of a very few ultra-wealthy people. The dangerous consequences if their abuse of power is left unchecked. Today, an oligarchy is taking shape in America of extreme wealth, power, and influence that literally threatens our entire democracy. I'm equally concerned about the potential rise of a tech industrial complex that could pose real dangers for our country as well. Americans are being buried under an avalanche of misinformation and disinformation, enabling the abuse of power. The free press is crumbling. Editors are disappearing. Social media is giving up on fact-checking. The truth is smothered by lies told for power and for profit. We must hold the social platforms accountable. Artificial intelligence is the most consequential technology of our time, perhaps of all time. But unless safeguards are in place, AI could spawn new threats to our rights, our way of life, to our privacy, how we work, and how we protect our nation. We must make sure AI is safe and trustworthy and good for all humankind. And as the land of liberty, America, not China, must lead the world in the development of AI. After 50 years of public service, I give you my word. I still believe in the idea for which this nation stands. A nation where the strength of our institutions and the character of our people matter and must endure. Now it's your turn to stand guard. May you all be the keeper of the flame. May you keep the faith. I love America. You love it too. God bless you all. May God protect our troops. Thank you for this great honor.
There he is, President Joe Biden last night, a farewell address. I love America. You love it too. But, the warnings that he issued, it was a big day for President Biden yesterday. It was, the ceasefire that begins Sunday, which is always weird to me, by the way, and we'll get back to that in a little bit, is how look, we'll have a ceasefire, but we can't do it just yet. Why can't it be like as of right now, right? We're going to start this ceasefire Sunday. Have at it until Sunday. But Sunday, the new rules are in place. That always fascinated me. But going back to President Biden, yesterday he really had a victory dance. It was one that he could have had in May had Netanyahu been more responsive and more willing to do that. And I think to the frustration of many who lost their loved ones in both places, and to the hostages and parents of hostages, and the whole notion of the fact that it took until now, but it did happen, and that's good. So yesterday he had that. Last night he had this speech. All the while, the Trump administration and the plans for the inauguration, the nomination confirmations are all happening, and President Biden comes out, gives this speech, and he talks about oligarchs. He talks about the power of tech billionaires. And what do we learn then? That sitting front and center next to Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, at the inauguration will be Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos by the way, a tech billionaire, one of the richest people in the world as well, as is Zuckerberg. But Jeff Bezos is also the owner of the Washington Post. So the notion that the publisher of a political newspaper of record in this country that did such good journalism during the Trump years is now sitting front row at Trump's inauguration. I may be wrong, and somebody may find a picture of Ben Bradley sitting at the inauguration of Jimmy Carter, but I doubt it. I doubt that that's what this is about. And so it's really surprising to me that is happening. It shouldn't be surprising, and maybe it isn't surprising. Maybe it's just angering, and I'm euphemizing it, if that's a word. But it's yeah. And somebody, Blue Spark, just writes, funny, I don't remember seeing any of those three scumbags on my ballot. I say what you will about them. I don't know enough certainly about Zuckerberg and Bezos. I'm pissed at Bezos because of what he's done with the Washington Post, how he tried to influence the election by announcing that he's not going to influence the election and pulling the idea of endorsement and from the Washington Post before this last election. But Musk, I do put that label on in many ways. So, but it's just the fact that these guys are going to be there, and that Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google, will be there as well. Not bothered as much by that. I don't know his politics. I know he's going to be going to the inauguration. Business leaders do go to inaugurations, but the featuring of Bezos and Zuckerberg there, and Zuckerberg's having an inauguration party alongside Elon Musk. I mean, it's all so upsetting, and it's exactly what Biden is talking about. And its roots can be traced in so many ways. But if we're going to beat China at AI, these people are going to be involved. But because they are the richest people in the world, what does it say about us? I mean, we've been talking about Vladimir Putin and the oligarchy in Russia and how distasteful it is, and how we tried to, after the war and the entry into Ukraine by Russian troops, we seized all their assets here. But these are the same types of people, right? I mean, yeah, we're not going into Ukraine, but I mean, yeah, somebody, right, Kathleen says the mask is off the tech bros. Yeah, the mask is off. Maybe we knew already that that's the way they were leaning. I didn't know that about Bezos and Zuckerberg, really, to be honest. But now they're kowtowing to somebody who fancies himself an emperor, and it's really, really upset. It is out in the open now. Some people are saying to boycott Facebook. I already do. I don't have Instagram or Facebook. I never have, and nothing is wooing me toward that. And for my books, I go to bookshop.org, or I go down the block and I buy my books. So Bezos, I would get some of my business, but he doesn't get my book business. And I don't know. This is, Kim, this is really one of the discomforting things. It's something that we knew, and maybe we're kind of dumb about it for not having just assumed that this was going to happen. But I didn't think it was this bad, I guess.
All of these guys, well, at least we know Zuckerberg and Bezos and Musk, and likely more, have kicked in $1 million to the inauguration fund. It feels like they're paying their way in to have influence on government. And if that's not an oligarchy, I don't know what is. The rich coming in, throwing their money around so that they can have influence in decision making. And that's not what America's supposed to be about. And I don't know why we're not fighting back more against that, because that is all wrong. That's not who we are, and it's not what we do.
But in a way, it is who we are, because and I'm not defending these guys, but inaugurations, since I've been alive, there are people that are donor party that give to the inauguration. They have parties. Sure. We all know that money buys power and influence in this country, and that's why Citizens United only made it worse, right? I mean, it's not like the rich didn't have their their favors granted before Citizens United, but it really it bastardized the whole process even more. It made it spread. And it's super upsetting to see that influence. Now, it's also, there's something, and this, I don't know if it makes a difference to everybody. John just said, I wish the Democrats would suck up to the rich. I'm sure you do, John, but I got to tell you something. They do. The Democrats suck up to the rich as well. Everybody does, because you got to bring guns to a knife fight, you got to a gunfight, not knives. And the Democrats, they have their money as well. I don't think, though, that the blatantness of this and the blatancy of it is the same. The individuals themselves are something that Donald Trump wants to be around. Democrats often will try and distance themselves from it. Maybe it's less honest in a way, right? Distance themselves from the fact that that they're kowtowing to the rich in order to support their ideas. So it's difficult to dissect that. But what I will say is the difference between, and Kim was talking about this as well, is the influence of the rich that they have with Citizens United and with Donald Trump. Trump's a billionaire. Like, people are giving money to a billionaire. Donald Trump could throw his own damn party. And that is, to me, a big difference in all of this. And Donald Trump raising money and having people give money to Donald Trump, to me, is so tasteless. Not just because of who he is, but because of what he already has. His legal defense fund, for example, you had billionaires giving money to Donald Trump's legal defense fund. He got himself in trouble, and he could have afforded to defend himself like rich people do. And there are, Karen says, my husband insists that both political parties take money from the same corporations and the rich. I guess so. Yeah. I mean, not always the same. There are corporations and there are CEOs of companies that give equally to both parties, donate, both to play both sides of the fence, but to help out in the process, I suppose, and to look even-handed. But that's not what we're looking at here necessarily. I'm sure if you go through Jeff Bezos on the SEC or the FEC websites to look for who he's given money to, that he's given to Democrats and he's given to Republicans. But the trend toward Trump lately from people who are terrified of him and what he will do to their companies is really sickening. And that's what you're seeing in the front row of this inauguration.
It really is. I mean, it really is, because they are bending a knee. They are trying to give money and kowtow to Trump, probably because they're trying to get better regulations, trying to make more money. I don't know, Michael Schur, why it feels different. And you mentioned that America's always been for sale in a way, right?
Yeah.
Why does it feel more now that it's for sale? Is it because these guys are front and center at the inauguration? Is it because they're coughing up $1 million to the inauguration fund? Is it because they're all together like this, that it feels more like a group of them coming forward to be? Why does it feel more egregious, I guess?
I think that's part of it, but I think also because it didn't matter, right? I mean, so you would talk to Trump voters about the influence of money and the billionaires, and these people are, these are not wealthy Americans voting for Trump and waiting outside his rallies, and they're being fooled and they don't care. And once the people that are supporting you don't care, you just keep doing it. And I think Trump found out that the people weren't bothered by it. So he did it. And like he does everything else, he gilds it in gold and puts an exclamation point on it. And so he has them at the inauguration, and he has all of them. He makes Elon Musk a big part of his administration. It's offensive to a lot of people, but because it's naked and because people aren't standing up to it and because he won, he thinks he can do it with reckless abandon, and I guess he can, right? Because it didn't hurt him; it only helped him. And these wealthy people are just like, we talked all week, guys, about Joni Ernst, right? How she is a female veteran senator, a victim of sexual assault and harassment, who is voting for Pete Hegseth, who has allegedly committed those things, who has allegedly raped someone, and who has positions about women in the military that are very, very backward, because she was afraid of being primaried, most likely, in Iowa, because there were threats that if people don't support Pete Hegseth, and other nominees, they're going to be primaried. Well, it's the same thing with Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, right? They're afraid that Trump's going to come in and crack down on their industries. But if they support him, they're going to get a little bit of relief. They're going to get tax breaks. They're going to get non-competes. They're going to get all the things that they want just for supporting this guy. It's what kings do. And, it's like monopolies. The palace, the royal family would issue a monopoly in England, and you would be the only person that could make strawberry jam because you had that monopoly. Well, that's what they're going for here. And in a way, it's not exactly, obviously, but that's what's at stake here. And this is, Donald Trump talks a lot about William McKinley. William McKinley was a little known president at the end of the 19th century. And he was an industrialist. He favored the moneyed classes and the bankers. And he created bricks that a lot of people think led to, the rise of at that time, multimillionaires at the turn of the century. And he was sorry about that. Sorry. We'll stop the dogs for They've stopped now. But Donald Trump liking William McKinley is the most random thing in the world, because I'm sure he couldn't name his 45 predecessors. But William McKinley was a president who, like Trump, favored the moneyed class. And you see that there. And if you do a little research after the show, I mean, you can't get more boring than William McKinley, other than he was assassinated in Buffalo, and it led to Teddy Roosevelt becoming president. I don't think that's William McKinley, but we just had a picture of him. I hope I'm wrong. But in any case, so there is a fascination with giving the power to the wealthy, and that's really something that we're seeing with Donald Trump, and we're going to have to endure for 4 years and more, right? I mean, because J.D. Vance is someone who is tight with Silicon Valley. That's why he was, one of the favorites of the Trump sons to become the vice president, because he's somebody who could take that money, get that money in an enduring way. And it's kind of wild, but it's the reality we're living.
Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell, you'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.